I mean, just think back. I mean, I would. Like, I'm old, and I wouldn't have got out there. I mean, unless I had to. But if I was young, I would, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, back in your day, like, I don't know. Like, one of the things...
Oh, my God.
Well, she is older than me. Therefore, she lived through the 90s and 80s.
It's
you know,
okay.
back...
Respectable.
What happened in the 80s, you know what I
Respectable.
mean? Like, drugs and stuff. If people were to be like, oh, well, we're gonna make a drug like marijuana legal in certain states that you lived in, and they weren't, like right here in Kentucky, it's not legal. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have gotten out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna protest for this. I want it to be legal here. You know, like nowadays for us, that's why we protest it. And it's just, I don't see it as like back in the day, like way back, even during like the 1300s, 1400s, all that. If you ever spoke out about something that wasn't the normal everybody went with, you were, you know, like the witch trials, you were hung. Because
Sure.
if you ever spoke out about something that was different, you were hung. And so, like, even back in the 1900s, 1970s, 60s, 50s, if you spoke out about gay marriage, it was, you're wrong. So, like, that's what our generation is. We speak out because we see it back then that nobody said nothing. So we're like, oh, well, we're going to say something.
Right. But like you had said before, was if you take it back and you said that if the things would have started, if they wanted marijuana to be legal back then, people would have protested and stuff. But you had the protests. You see what I'm saying? They allowed the only reason why your generation and all the people that went out and did protest were allowed to protest. Let this sink in. Was because the government said they could.
Well, that's always been a right. That's always been part of the Constitution.
Yeah, it has, but
that also
a long
depends
time
on which
ago,
side of
they went out.
The speech you're on depends on whether the Constitution counts or not.
But,
if you're on the side that is holding the power, then you get to speak. But if you have a different opinion as to whoever's holding the power, you don't get to speak.
But see, it was different because a lot of people, when they protested, that's just what they did. It really was peaceful protest. That term, the terms they used, they came from from not so long in the past.
But like in the 60s,
they allow it to
peacefully
get that way.
protested with Martin Luther King Jr. But they still he died. They killed him.
Look,
even
in Martin Luther King
peaceful
Jr.'s
protest,
day,
there's just no
when
way.
I'm going to stop you right there.
There wasn't this much.
I'm going to stop you right there because me personally, I stood out in front of a Walmart. I stood out on a main road with my friend, and I held Black Lives Matter signs up. Me and my friend
both
were doing
white.
nothing.
White.
Holding up signs. No, listen to me. Hear me out.
No,
Holding up signs. That's it. They made a problem out of it.
Who's they?
The people on the street. The people that did not accept that. They made it a problem.
Laughing at me. Flipping me off. Calling the police not once, not twice, 3 times.
Because he said he was in the road.
3 different police officers
came
to us and asked, did you guys stand in the road and cause a commotion? And we're like, we've been standing here the whole time.
Do you know why that is? Because the government and the police aren't on the same page. The government and the FBI aren't even on the same page.
I feel like it's the media that plays into it.
So what happens is the law enforcement, yes, I do too, but law enforcement is set to enforce the law, to keep peace.
Right.
And
but
the government
let me
is
go back to the media.
Okay,
let me stop you right there because what you guys were shown watching Fox News is completely different than what I was seeing on Twitter. Because me being a youth, me being a quote unquote Zoomer,
I use Twitter.
I understand you do. I know. I know you do. But you did around that time. Me being on Twitter, I was around the quote unquote youth. Everybody on my page was the youth. They were taking videos
who you want on your page.
No,
too.
the page. This is
what I mean?
If a tweet has 100,000 likes and 50,000 retweets, I'm going to see that. I don't care what side of Twitter you're on. I'm on the music side of Twitter. People's got an anime side of Twitter, movie side of Twitter, but they still seen it. But the thing is, what I seen was raw footage.
But now you can't really
but what
do
you
that.
guys
You
see
know why? Because they're filled
is what
with
they want to show you.
Yeah, that's
so we're going on another level with censorship of social media.
It's crazy.
But now you can't even see those. The only thing, if you do see something outside of your realm, it's promoted, and they pick what's promoted.
Right.
It's complete censorship. But
it's just,
I mean, that's the way that my grandparents are. You know, like they come to me, and we do have 2 different views, but like they do watch Fox, and that's all they watch. You know, and it's like they believe what they want to believe because of what they see
in you as a youth. Even though we have different ideas or different opposing political views, I love the fact that your you're fired up about it. You know, you like it, and you want to get in. I get that.
At this point in our lives,
a lot of people do,
especially at our age. I mean,
but the government uses
making
that
us do it.
to
making us have that
against
fire.
us somewhat, because they want the youth to go out and rally against something, and at this time they have a socialist agenda. So with that, the way I look at it, accepting it and promoting it.
I don't mind,
because the youth has that fire.
I don't mind peaceful protesting or promoting something that is going to be good for humans.
Of course. I mean, that's the thing. But everything has a domino effect. You have to look back at the years of the way things were and see where they've got us today.
I don't know.
Well, I can't argue with people that don't believe in basic human rights.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, like for example, I know this is a conservative podcast, but I'm gonna bring it up. I'm shoot myself in the foot. Abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Oh, don't you dare come for my topic here. I will explain my topic. Abortion was not illegal until the 1860s. Let me tell you why it was not illegal until the 1860s. That was when, what year? 1860s. They abolished slavery in that time. Therefore, after they had let go of all of their slaves, no one could run their farms. So they were like, what are we going to do? We don't have people to run them. Therefore, these men would get married, and they would have women have their children after children after children and have 10, 20 kids so they could run their farm for them. Abortion was not made illegal because of murder. It was made illegal because men were not profiting money. And that is true because men didn't have people to run their farms. They couldn't run it by themselves, and you couldn't ask your friends because all of your friends were other farmers. You know what I mean?
Back in that time.
So women had to have tons of kids to run it.
Okay. But people have always had a lot of kids, like, for the most part.
Yeah, and that's Christianity, though. Like, that's the normal. They're not supposed to...
Okay, hey, I'm going to cut in right here.
Go ahead.
I know there was a lot said earlier about, back in the day and, and this and that. And I kind of feel like on that point of view, though, that you can't really use something that happened 100 years ago to prove a point in today's society.
And that is completely true.
Because we can sit and say that, slavery, of course, we all agree slavery is bad.
Yeah. We talked about earlier about going back several decades and it didn't work at the time. But people... and it's a different time era and stuff. It's kind of like the same thing.
But did you know that the one individual in the United States that owned more black slaves, you can look it up right now on Google, was a black man in Tennessee.
Yeah, I know.
Owned more black men. And on what you're saying, as far as the reason that they started with the whole abortion, did you know that he actually had people come to his home and impregnate his slaves to get more slaves?
Yeah.
I mean, so we can't, but... in the day that we live in, you can't really use that as any kind of, because unless a woman's raped, okay, yeah, she definitely, if she wants an abortion, she needs an abortion. But if somebody knowingly and willingly lays down and has sexual intercourse with somebody, then that's that's
understandable.
Yes, but there are women out there that don't even know that the guy has, had
there's different forms of birth control.
But that's the only word I could think of. Came in her, really. There's a woman I'm friends with.
There's a day after pill.
There is.
Yeah, but how does she know that he's come in her?
There's a lot of... there's plenty of different forms
if she laid down to have the sex...
but not everyone can afford a baby, and I mean that's their.
Don't be fucking.
But that's their problem. No, it's not though, because that is their choice. Like that's up to you. It doesn't affect you in any way. You know what I mean?
I swear, it's like folding into this perfect little gift. Let me show you. Okay, so like he said, 100 years ago it was different with abortion, and like decades prior, you said that. If you had had the opportunity to get it done, our opportunity came, so we're going to try to change it. You know what I mean?
Right.
All this falls in line because, okay, if you think that a woman, you had said that you believe that if a woman gets raped, she should be able to have an abortion.
Yes,
right, because that's not her child that she wanted.
Agree. Yes. Okay. That's because that woman had no choice.
Got unlucky.
Right? She had no choice.
That is not the right word to use there.
It's cut and dried. In my opinion, like rape is cut and dried.
Right.
If you don't give in to it and someone takes it, they raped you.
Yeah. The thing is though, so, if you don't get raped, wait.
Right.
if you don't get raped and you want to have sex because that is human nature,
of course,
we have condoms, we have birth control, we have patches,
and
we got pills.
Not everyone can accept that because of what we talked earlier was about healthcare, and not everyone can afford that. So are you going to come up with me that? No, exactly.
Hear me out. If you're gonna go in without the protection, without anything going on, there, then yes, a mistake might happen. But if you can't afford that child. And it's not living on its own.
If you can't afford that child, then you have that child and you put that child up for adoption.
Right. No, don't even do that because if you've ever been part of the system, I am part of the system. The system literally sucks. It is even worse than having a parent that doesn't care about you.
You know why? Because they don't fund it like they should. And if they do fund it, it never goes where it's supposed to go.
That goes back where I'm supposed to.
That's corrupt.
What I said the first time.
Law enforcement's like that. The FBI's like that. The fucking government's like that. Big farms like that. Insurance is like that. The whole fucking thing's like that.
I'm going to cut in with one real quick. Even outside of healthcare, any county you go to, you can get free birth control at any clinic.
If you walk in,
you can get free condoms
too. They'll set you up with the IUD and all kinds of shit.
So, I mean, even if you're mething up on the side of the road, don't even have a house to live in,
if we can give meth clinics, or if we can set up injection sites for addicts, you know what I'm saying? Then there should be no reason why people should have abortions.
Okay, here's a thought.
Does that make sense?
Well, you know I still believe that they're right. Like
it is.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I go to bed every night. I go to bed every night, and I don't care what other people do to their bodies. It's not my. It's not my choice. Like that's
like
up to
I said,
you.
everything affects something else. So instead of you being like, well, it's this is the way I feel. I think that's what we got out. Why so many people are so attracted by politics now is because we keep thinking about those things. We want to say, well, I feel
it shouldn't even be a political. It shouldn't even be a political thing. Like right here, it says saying women can't choose to have abortions unless we're raped or dying is literally telling us we don't earn anatomy over our own bodies until man violates it or we're on our deathbeds.
See, that's crazy though. Wait, I don't need.
Wait.
That's crazy.
Hey, it's getting crazy over here. SmackDown versus Raw.
They actually do have. You have complete control over your body unless you're raped.
See,
nobody took your control away as far as getting pregnant or not getting pregnant. You took.
I don't know why,
but I do in general because they've made it a political.
In the
thing.
60s,
it shouldn't be a political thing.
Listen, right.
In the 60s, women. Okay, now you hear about the bra burning, the glass ceiling. You know all those terms, stuff like that. Okay, in the 60s, women.
They broke the glass ceiling.
No, that was in the 80s. Literally, burned their bras. I'm talking masses.
Yeah, fuck them bras.
They said,
free the titty.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
okay. Free the titty.
And this is after.
And people wonder what's wrong with ozone.
They not only did they do that, but they allowed for the black community to do theirs first. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Okay? Got their civil rights. But my point is that women have always had a place in this world. And we don't need a man. They can make it. You can raise kids. You can have a job. You can do whatever you want to do. It's always been like that.
It's taken
a
long time for that to happen. We still don't even have the exact same pay raise as men do, or the same exact pay.
Okay,
a lot of
times. Some situations, I will agree with that. But capitalism and the CEOs of these companies is the way this country works. Now, if I'm abroad, I'll use that term. And I'm working in a place, and I've put in more hours on a week than Joe Bob does, and I'm doing everything but sucking dick. You know what I mean? I'm there all the time. I'm doing it. And he gets promoted, and I don't.
I mean,
of course, I'm
you
pissed.
Didn't suck enough dick.
You know what I mean? You go get.
You got to earn the strike.
Go get your lawyer. I mean,
lawyer up.
Hey,
they put Harvey Weinstein in prison.
Hey, here's something.
One of the highest paid people in America. Big producer of movies. If you've seen his movie, I couldn't name them all, but I guarantee you've seen one of his movies. Biggest producer, director.
Hey,
he's in prison because a long time ago he did some things inappropriately to females in Hollywood. They let it go for decades. Some of them
shouldn't have.
And then they go out and they bring it up. He paid him, and they put his ass in prison.
They paid him. They spent all their money that
a lot
he paid
of
him with. They took him to jail and sued him and got more money.
They could have took him then.
I'd do the same shit.
My problem with Hollywood is you take him to court then. You don't wait decades later.
Yeah,
that's
just
my
let
issue.
your Just let your toxic masculinity show.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, let's have no jokes. Let's have just a little change of subject. I'm kind of curious about right now. We've got